read my first book by today's guest because I saw rave reviews everywhere and it was sold to me as a millennial mom's happy place. It's Gilmore Girls meets When Harry Met Sally. And I went, yep, immediately done. Sign me up. And that book was If It Makes You Happy. And it sure did. I loved it. And then I got to meet Julie and talk to her in person at LoveLitCon in San Diego. So I can't wait for you all to meet her yourself and for us to get to know her a little bit better together as we dive into all the heart-tugging themes in her various books. Julie Olivia is our guest today, and she writes cozy love stories filled with all the humor, spice, and close friend groups that feel like a warm hug. And she is a roller coaster fan, avid romance reader, and rainy day enthusiast. She lives in Atlanta, Georgia with her husband and their very opinionated pets. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's so great to see you again after LoveLitCon. That feels like forever ago. It was such a good convention.
I just shared a bit about you, but for those meeting you for the very first time, can you share a bit more about your journey and how you came to where you are now?
Yeah, so it's the typical thing, right? Like I've been writing for as long as I can remember. In third grade, I wrote stories about like a spy rabbit named Carrot, very original stuff. But when I got to college, I ended up majoring in mass media arts, specifically video editing, but also script writing. And one of the projects was writing like a pilot for a TV show, coming up with an entire like show concept with a group, like it was a group project. And I just like absolutely fell in love with it. I kept writing after that. I joined a writers group after college, which is where I met my husband actually. And I discovered indie romance in, what was it, 2018, I think. And I just like fell in love. And there were a lot of novels that I had started but not finished. Like I went through a weird horror kick before I got into romance, like writing a lot of horror. Which I still love to read, but it wasn't until I started reading romance, just binging it and being like, ooh, I want to try writing romance, that I like finished a book, because I was just so enthralled with the concept, with how character-driven romance is, and just the vulnerability of people falling in love is like my favorite thing. I started writing romance. I immediately, because I started with indie romance, I was so intrigued with like the indie world. So I did a lot of research on how to indie publish, and I started that route. I was indie publishing exclusively until about 2024. I indie published If It Makes You Happy, actually, and then it sold to Berkeley, I think a month or two later, actually. And then, yeah, we published that late last year, 2025, and we are trucking right along. So right now I am hybrid. I have a book coming out in September with Berkeley. It's called Love Felt Like This. And then I am wrapping up my indie series next spring. So it's called Never Harbor. It's Coastal Small Town. So the last two will come out next spring. So it's been a long journey, but it's been fun.
Yes. So I love hearing your journey, because for all the people out there that might be wanting to write, right, there's also some inspiration, some encouragement there that you can also try these different things, and you never know what avenue, it really hits home for you. But Never Harbor is also, when I was talking to someone in line at LoveLitCon, they're like, oh, I love the Never Harbor series by Julie. So I did just read Off the Hook also. I was like, ooh, okay, now it's gotten me into the Never Harbor, my foot's in the door. I gotta go back to the
I love that series so much. It started as just like a seed of an idea of Captain Hook and Wendy, like obviously her not a child, but like that, like, sunshine girl and then the grumpy guy. And it just developed from there, and it's been so much fun. And it's so weird, like finally wrapping it up, because I'm going to finish both books this year and then they'll just release next year. So it's been weird spending like, I don't know, the final few months with my friends who have, been out since I think 2023, maybe. Yeah. So crazy.
It's a farewell for now, but not a goodbye forever, right?
Right. Exactly.
Always come back to it. Yeah. Oh, I love. Okay, I might be getting ahead of myself, but we're just going to go into, since we're talking about the Never Harbor series and small town, right? I think there are a lot of small town romances that I have loved over the course of the years. But is there anything that really draws you to small towns and that scene?
So many things. I think it's rooted in nostalgia for me, which a lot of my stories are rooted in nostalgia. I mean, obviously, if it makes you happy, it was set in the 90s. But I grew up in a smaller town, and it's very developed now. You know, I'm like 34, so it's been developed since I was a kid. But a lot of the small town elements of having smaller communities is such a cherished part of my childhood. And I love putting that in stories. And then there's a lot of things that I didn't have growing up that I love exploring, like big families. I love big families. It's just me and my brother, you know, very small, but we're still very close. But I love the nosy neighbors. I love the walkable cities. I love the families that are just really up in your business and always in a loving way. I really also love very lived in environments. So like one of my favorite things to do is when like describing environments, my friends have always joked that I should get into like cozy fantasy. So I can just like describe all these worlds, you know,
Yeah.
but I love how small towns feels like their own little world on their own. And that's just so
Mhm.
appealing to me. And the characters can be as quirky as you want, as real as you want. Like I love it.
And I have never lived in a truly small town, I don't think. So for me, it's like a living vicariously through these characters, because I've lived in bigger cities where people aren't, familiar with their neighbors. And it's just kind of a passing, like I lived most of my career life in Silicon Valley, which is very much like everybody
Very
does their
much.
own
Yeah.
thing. So it's just like a nice, oh, your neighbor, you take care of the kids in the neighbor, like whatever it is. And it's the older people that are exactly what you're saying, right? They come over and they give you all their input, their
Yeah.
advice on things.
Unsolicited for sure. Maybe
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
solicited. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's what I absolutely love. Like when I fall in love with the side characters or the community of characters, I'm just like, yes, this book, is just has my heart. So I absolutely love that. And I also am part of a smaller family. Like it's just my brother and I also.
Yeah.
So I saw Maggie, and this is the mom in the Never Harbor series, right? And she just takes everyone, her own children, her adopted children, her children in the neighborhood, like they all become hers. And like, I someday hope, well, I have children of my own, but I hope that I can be that for the people that also come into my home. So that was
Same.
just an encouragement. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that.
we don't have any kids yet, but I talk about that all the time. I'm like, I just want to be the person that I mean, we don't want more than a certain amount, right? Like I'm not going to be Maggie Davies up in here, but but yeah, just like that home of just like, yeah, come in, throw off your shoes, and there's probably a billion pictures in the hallway, and there's a blanket here and there, maybe, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, like a safe place to be for whomever, right? And I love that idea. I know people in my children's lives, that are those other safe adults. So I'm like, if I can be that for other people too, like Maggie, I can do it.
Yeah, come over, we'll all go trick or treating together. It'll be
Exactly.
great.
Yeah, yeah. Come tell me the things you can't tell your parents, and I won't. It's okay.
Yep.
Especially as we go into the teen era, right? And this is something that I absolutely loved in If It Makes You Happy, because you also write about single dads. So I want to get into that too. But I just love the parent-child dynamics that you write. It just warms my heart so much. Like I have essentially tweens, but as I look into that, so many people talk dread about the teen years. And I also know people that, no, the teen years are so great. Like we don't have to worry about them. And to see that in your writing where they have this really great dynamic, there's obviously teen attitude and, all things, but it can be great. And you still can have this connected relationship. And I absolutely loved that. Is that some sort of inspiration that you have from people around you or just kind of a hope?
Yeah, I mean, definitely people around me. Me and my dad were very close, especially when I was that age. So that kind of like just banter, sarcastic, like making fun of each other, but not really. A lot of love infused in it. We had that relationship, still have that relationship. And I would say for like raising younger kids, I always turn
Mm-hmm.
to my brother and his wife. My sister-in-law is my best friend. I think she's one of the best moms in the world. Maybe I'm biased, I don't know. But like, I love her relationship with my niece and nephew, her kids. They're both like 10 and 8 right now, but like I can see like it's that same relationship just on like a younger scale, right? So it's a lot of people around me. It's my own dad who was fantastic, and just kind of putting all of that in one place, I guess.
And I guess the two books that I've read so far happen to have single dads. I know it's obviously
Yeah.
is there anything as you're writing books, right? Is there like a, okay, I definitely want to write about this, and then your kind of themes or common things throughout the books?
Yeah, I really like things that portray very close relationships. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anything can be a close relationship, right? But like my all-time favorite trope is friends to lovers. I like that connection of just like mutual understanding before like sexual attraction pops in. Even more so, I love childhood best friends to lovers because you have all of that history together and you've proven that you'll stick together over time, right? I love those type of tropes. Another one I really love is marriage of convenience, which I know is like, sure, it's kind of a forced marriage, but like I love exploring, hey, we're here to spend time together, and maybe we are, I mean, it's very much friends to lovers, right? Like, we're not actually committed, but then over time we respect each other enough that it's like, oh no, I do want to stay married to you. Like, I love those types of tropes where it's just respect and care and genuine relationships, like
Yeah.
I love them. Yeah.
As you're talking about that, I'm like, I loved the fact that you also showed, and if it makes you happy, that co-parenting in a healthy way is absolutely possible. It doesn't start that way necessarily, right? And a spoiler alert, I guess. I should have said that. There might be spoilers. But it, I loved seeing that, and these different ways in which these characters grow, and they're able to respect each other and care for one another. And there's so many different relationships in this book that I absolutely loved about it. But that was definitely one of them, because you have this single dad, but then by the end, like their kids have multiple parents in this whole community.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, and with his ex, I mean, nobody's the villain in their own story, right? Like she had her own set of motivations and things that fueled her, and I don't think that she was the villain. Now Michelle's ex definitely a villain. Like sometimes, like what? Sometimes it's pretty cut and dry, but
Yeah.
for the most part, like just people are very nuanced. People are very flawed, and I like exploring people who are flawed but not villains. And if they are a villain, we just don't even put them in the story,
Yeah.
Like, just get them out of here.
Yeah. And she has her own circumstances, right? And things happened, and she didn't expect these things to happen so young in her life, where she got pregnant and had her own dreams. And sometimes, you
Yeah.
got to work through life in different ways. And you really feel for Emily. I was like, oh, poor,
Yeah.
poor girl.
Yeah. Yeah. She's the mom is not perfect, and I'm far from it, but I don't view her as like a pure villain by any means.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I just started loving this book because I love bed and breakfast. I love food. So this just made me happy all around. And Cliff being a baker, I was like, oh, that's so awesome. Like, I want someone to find my perfect baked item. That would be so fun. Are you a baker? Do you love food? Or is this?
So I love food, but I am not big on cooking. I got very lucky. My husband is a massive cook. Like he makes our food. I love him. He's fantastic. He's not big on baking, so I've baked a little bit over the years, but like I love food. I loved baked goods. Like take me to a good bakery or a coffee shop anytime.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've like made a few things over the years, but not anything too complicated. So when I was doing research for this book, it was a lot of looking up recipes and like not even just like, oh, what, is a thing he can make, but like digging through the recipe and being like, how is he going to make this? What is, the steps? And it's just, yeah, it was a nice learning process. I've had bakers, well, not bakers, but I've had like a chef in a book before. And my sister-in-law, who does love to cook and bake, she also reads my early drafts of my books to give me notes. And there have been multiple times where she's like, he's boiling water, but there's also flour and he's chopping something. What is he making? And I'm like, I don't know. Couldn't tell you. So with this, I did like dig in and be like, okay, let me look at the actual recipe and what ingredients are required. But it was a lot of fun.
See, we all need the people. They're the experts. Just tell us what makes something sound weird. So I also resonated a lot with Michelle, who's that person that kind of fixes things in the family, right? Like keeps it all together, like looks like they have it all together on the outside perhaps, but is kind of breaking out and not really willing to show it. That's not entirely me, but I definitely am the person I feel like that my parents call for, any sort of issues. Are you that person? Do you resonate with Michelle in that? Or?
No. I am Sarah. I am the younger sibling. My brother was the older sibling. But it's fun. Like my favorite people to write are people who are nothing like me, because it's really fun exploring things that they may say or do that I never would. Especially very confident characters. Not to say I'm not confident, but I'm very shy. I'm very introverted. So being able to write characters that, you write the internal monologue and then you are like, let me just put quotations around that, because they're not thinking it, they're saying it. And just Michelle was so fun in that regard, because I am so different from Michelle. And just writing, she's a very intense person. She's very bold. She says what she means. And I love it about her. I love it so much.
Oh, I feel like I wish I could say I am definitely, there are things that I resonate with Michelle and there are things that I don't. So yes, I think I take from each person, right? Like, ooh, I see myself in this. Oh, I see, and we resonate with all the different pieces. Yeah. So, okay. You talked about the Sarah piece. I feel like I have to ask, because when we were discussing in book club and things, people were like, how did you feel about the sister being set up?
I mean, I loved it. I think that's one of my favorite plot points. Yeah. Well, and like, I think that they needed a third person to come in and be like, listen, guys, like, did you know you're in love with my sister? Sister, did you know that you're in love with him? Like, I think they needed that third party, especially Michelle, like, because she's so closed off, having that trusted friend and sister. I loved writing their first date scene, whatever it was, I loved it so much. It was so weird. And Sarah is just such a just once again, a very confident character who just says whatever. And I love that so much. I love writing her.
No, it was kind of like a touchy point between people. They were like, no, but she shouldn't have gone, or like, she shouldn't have let her out. It was just like, oh, this got quite passionate.
Yeah. Well, so this is like a fun fact, and I don't actually think I've ever talked about this, but when we were pitching, If It Makes You Happy, you talked to various editors, and I won't at all say who this was, but there was an editor that was like, hey, I would probably want to make some revisions, and I don't know how I would feel about the Sarah, date chapter. And I was like, I really like the date chapter. I was like, totally fair, but I was like, oh, I don't know, I kind of like it. So
you're like, if you say no, that's a deal breaker.
But yeah, I like it. I can see how it's touchy with some people, though, for sure.
No, I also have to ask about the animals and the voices that you give to, say, Rocket, the dog. And in your bio, you also say that you have opinionated animals. Are they your inspiration? Because I absolutely give voices to my cats too, and I think Rocket was one of my favorites.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, we have full personalities for our pets. We have 3 cats, and they are very individual. Like, there are some things that some will do that the other won't. And we have a whole history on why they do those things, right? Like they have voices, like, because my husband does the voice of our female cat, and he'll do a voice and I'm like, that is not Tina's voice. You know what her voice is, you know? And when I thought of Rocket, I mean, I thought, you know, Michelle doesn't have any friends or anyone to talk to. Like, she would talk to that dog. And I remember when I was telling my friends about it, when I was initially like coming up with this and I was starting to write it, and I was like, is it weird that I have a talking dog? And they were like, is he actually a talking dog? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write it and I'll let you decide if it's too weird. So thankfully, nobody had an issue with it. But yeah, I was very self-conscious about having basically a talking dog through my book.
I loved it. Do you have other animals in other stories, or is this the first one?
No, I love infusing animals in stories.
Okay.
They don't normally talk. This is my first.
Okay, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, most of my books have some form of an animal. I have an older book that she has a parrot, and so he does actually talk. But so that was a little fun. But yeah, I love animals. I love having animal companions. I think it's so fun.
I think this was one of my favorite things about it, is just Rocket, and thinking about like, oh yeah, these dogs, if they could talk, you know, they all
Right?
have personalities. Yeah.
They have opinions.
That's right. And if you go into the fantasy world, you can also
Right, exactly. I need talking animal companions, like actual talking ones. Yes.
I also have to talk about like the different characters, because we've talked about like the importance of community, the importance of side characters, and the people that surround like the main characters. And how do you approach and build these side characters so that you like get to know them as well? And then obviously for the books that are series, you might have books about them later as well. But I came to love like all these different people. And if you write more books about them, I'm not going to object, you know?
Well, so normally if I'm writing in a series, so we'll take like Never Harbor, for instance. I know how many books will be in that series. I know exactly whose books will be whose, the couples, and normally the like overarching plot / trope, right? And so in that instance, I normally when I'm writing a book, I will flesh out the two main characters the most. It's very intensive. I have like 100-question worksheet thing, and it's just, I have facts that I will never put in the book, but like I know because it helps flesh out who they are, right? And normally as I'm writing, I will flesh out the side characters, and it just happens as I go. But like normally, so with the first draft, I like to say that that's me telling myself the story. So that's me introducing myself to the characters, the world, describing it, etc. The second draft is what I call making it make sense. So like if halfway through I introduce a new character that comes into a shop and I like that character, I'm not going to go back and add them all in during that draft. I'm going to finish up first draft. And then in the second draft, I'll sprinkle them in. I'll come up with, okay, how are they relevant to this story? Like they're not just moseying around. Like, what are their goals? What did they want out of this story? Or are they someone who just drops in when advice is needed? Or do they have a full arc? A lot of times if I'm writing in a series, normally the couples that are, you know, coming up next, either, you know, the second or third one, they'll have more solid arcs because it will introduce us to them a little bit more. But sometimes people just get arcs for no reason. Like, like it's just, I mean, I think Rocket was one of those examples. Like I really wanted him as the side character, the kind of mirror to Michelle, but his whole side arc of being scared on Halloween, overcoming that, you know, being friends with Brittany, like that just formed through the second draft of being like, okay, I want him to have a start and an end and to grow as a character as well. So it's a lot of just in the moment stuff through multiple drafts and just revising and, you know, getting it cleaned up.
Oh, I love hearing your process, because I know some people are like, I just let it flow. I let the characters talk to me. I let, you know, or some people are very, very like, okay, I know exactly where it starts, I know where it ends, and then they're like plotting all along the way, and it's kind of a mix, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
people have different styles. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely a mix. Like it's one of those things where before I get started, I have to know a lot about the characters. But I normally like to know like beginning, middle, and end, and then a lot of the tiny things in between. But aside from that, like how they get from this conversation to this one, like I have no idea. And that's kind of like telling yourself the story process, right? So it's like I know what's going to happen, but also like I don't know, there could be a random character that shows up and now they're stuck in the rest of the series because I liked them so much.
Yes.
They show up a
Yes.
lot. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have like a list of things you're like, okay, in the future, I want to write about these things? Like, as all these ideas pop up, you just have an ongoing Google file or notes app list?
Yeah, yeah. So I work in Notion. I don't know if you've
Mm,
ever heard of I
yep.
love Notion. Like it's currently free, but like if they randomly started charging, I would be like, my whole life is on there. Like I owe you money at this point. But I have a Notion page with any idea I could possibly think of. Like, and there's a mobile version. So like, yeah, sometimes if I'm just walking around, I'm like, ooh, a baker and a B&B owner, and I'll just like type that in real quick and then it'll come back later. But yeah, I have a running document of all the all the ideas, all the people. Sometimes it's just names. I'm like, ooh, I love these
Mm.
name combinations. That sounds
Oh,
fun.
uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's a running list for sure.
Oh, I have so many idea lists. I should go back to Notion. I feel like I have, my Trello and my like regular notes app. And sometimes it's really hard to find the idea that I have to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
back to.
because it's spread among
Yeah.
everything. Well, that was the problem. I'm gonna go on a total tangent about Notion, but that was my problem. Is I had like a paper planner, and then I had my Google
Yeah.
Calendar, and yeah, one year I just sat down and was like, I gotta find some thing to put all this in, and Notion's what I settled on, and I haven't gone back.
And it's great. It's great. So I know you had talked about you went through different genres, like you were writing horror for a while, you were also script writing, right? Like these different areas, and then you landed on romance. What do you love most? I think you already kind of said some things that you really like about romance, but what do you like most about writing romance or perhaps being a romance author in the community?
Um, well, with writing romance, I it's such a character driven genre, and that is my favorite thing. I also just really love writing about people falling in love. Like I love the butterflies, I love the cute things people say to each other, the like that anticipation of when you're going to see them next. Like I just it may sound cliche, but like I love love. I just think it's so fun and so exciting. And yeah, romance in general, like it's just these vulnerabilities that you only really show when you're falling in love, and like things about yourself maybe you're forced to confront because of you're falling in love. Like I just find it so fascinating. And I can look back on like other half finished books that I've written, and there's almost always a love plot in the background that is driving that person, and I'm like, I should have been writing this the whole time, like I was like, I finally found what I was meant to be writing the whole time, so that works out. And then just like the romance community in general, it's just it's such a good community. It's such a unique community of like support, but also like just I don't know, like support, I guess is the best word I can come up with. Like it's such a good community. It's such a wholesome community. Going to conventions like LoveLitCon is like the highlight of my year because I get to meet amazing readers. I also get to see my author friends who like half of my closest friends are long distance because we met through the author community. So like, it's just, yeah, I wouldn't want to be involved in any other community. Like the romance community is just so lovely.
Oh, I love that. Do you have any sort of advice for aspiring authors who are like, yeah, I want to write romance too. What can I do to start?
Oh, geez. Just start. Like, I mean, that sounds crazy, but like when I started writing my first romance book, I had no plans. I didn't do character studies like I do now. I didn't even plot it. Like, I was just like, I want to write like an office romance, and I have maybe a name. I don't even think I had a name for the hero when I first started. Like, I came up with it when I first wrote his chapter, kind of thing. But I wrote during my lunch breaks at work. Like I wrote after work at a library. my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, he's been through this with me since the very beginning. And like, poor guy, like before I went full-time authoring, I was basically working 2 jobs, and like, he didn't see me till like 8 or 9 p.m. when I was like, got back from the library because I was writing. So just do it, like just fall into it, love your story, and worry about all of the like logistics and marketing and all that stuff later. But just enjoy that first draft and go for it. Like, you don't have to have a plan, but if it makes you, if it works for you, then yeah, make a plan, but like, you don't have to have that stuff come later. I just do it,
Yeah. And that's something that absolutely resonates with me, because in my community, we talk about like, find the things that make you joyful, especially as moms. A lot of the people that are in my community are moms, right? And we often lose ourselves in the things that bring us joy in motherhood, right? And so if you love writing and you've had this dream, like, just take the, even 15 minutes a day to just think and brainstorm and do the things, or take that, hour away at the library, whatever it is. So I love hearing you say, just do it. Like, no matter how small, time increments or not. I think people would be encouraged by that.
Yeah. Well, and I have a mom friend who literally just did this. Like, about last year, she was like, it's a bucket list item to write a book. I think I'm going to write a book. And I was like, do it. And she did. Like, her goal was to finish it by the end of last year. And I think she finished it like the last week of December. And like, you just do it, like, if you love it, a little bit every day.
Yeah. Okay. I'm also talking to myself, because I told myself I'm going to write a children's book.
Yes.
So I'm going to do it. This is my accountability right here. Julie, check in with me at the end of the year.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. How about we get into some quick-fire questions, if you're open to it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about reading, I think I have to ask, what are you reading right now? Whether it be on audio, I don't know if you're an audiobook person, audio, Kindle, physical, whatever it may be. What are you reading right now?
Oh my gosh, what am I reading right now? So last weekend, me and my husband went on like a tiny retreat. So I like binged 2 books that weekend, and I don't think I've picked up anything since. But the 2 books I binged were Blue Jean Summer by Maggie Gates. Incredible. And If Not You by Ellen Clover, which, once again, incredible. Like, I think both of those might be one of my favorite reads of the year. And I think I've read maybe like 15 books this year so far. Like, they're incredible. Both of them release, I think, this summer. Ellen's might come out September, but incredible. I mean, I like cannot rave about these books enough. So check those out whenever they come out. I can't remember.
I'm adding them to my TBR. I'm going to go look on NetGalley to see.
Do it. I think both are on NetGalley. So yes, I think they are both live. So, and if they're not, just let me know and I'll retract that statement. But yeah, they're incredible.
We don't know, guys. We don't know. Yeah. They might be.
Might be, might not be. I don't know.
Yeah. Are you an audio person?
I do. I like audio. I'm not, I tend to zone out sometimes. So I reread on audio frequently. If I finish a book and I really, really love it and I want to experience the story again, but I'm like, I can't, like, I will immediately buy it on audio. That's how I know I really love a book, is if I own it in 2 formats.
Oh, that's okay. Because I'm a huge audiobook person, because I listen to it on my commute, or, while I'm doing dishes or whatever else. And that's how I read as much as I do. Yeah. But I'm the opposite, where I buy the physical version. So then I go to like conventions and things, and I'm like, I don't have anything to sign because I don't have the actual book. You sign my like phone.
Well, like I exclusively read on Kindle now. So I have a similar problem where I'll like go places and meet authors that I just totally admire. And I'm like, I don't know what to get you to sign. I read on Kindle.
Someone had their like LoveLitCon bag. And I was like, that is genius. Next time I'm going to have like some sort of bag, tote, something. Yeah.
I saw someone one time who brought the paper that goes in the back of their Kindle case. And so they had authors sign the back of like their Kindle, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. That was my very first book conference. So now I've learned a lot,
Yeah.
and I'm taking that away.
It is a whole subculture. Like there's definitely like things to know before you go type of deal. So
Yes,
you will be
yes.
prepared next time.
Next time, yes. Okay, what is a favorite tool in your house that you think is underrated and people should know about?
A favorite tool in my house? Just any tool?
Anything. It could be in the kitchen. It could be in your bathroom. It could be in
Okay.
something that you know. I'm like, maybe it's Notion.
I'm trying to think of like things that we have bought that we were like, oh, changed our lives. And listen, a pizza cutter. I know it sounds silly, but like we make a lot of at-home pizzas, and we probably use that pizza cutter at least once a week. So I don't know, maybe just don't think about a pizza cutter. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. It's the small things, right? I love my bread machine. We got that as a wedding gift like many years ago. And we also make homemade pizza in our pizza dough.
Yeah. Oh, I want a bread machine. Yeah. That's a
Saves
good
time.
I know.
Especially in COVID, we were baking a lot of bread for like PB&Js for the kids to prepare themselves.
Smart.
Yeah. What is one thing you love doing just for you?
Oh, I do know the answer to this one. I love building Lego sets. I love it so much. I just discovered it last fall. We always host Thanksgiving, and we were trying to think of something we could do the night before that's just like a bonding, just me and him. And we found a Lego set that was like a center floral arrangement. And we were like, yeah, sure, let's just try it. And when we were done, I was like, ooh, that's fun. That's really fun. So yeah, I really like building Legos because you can put on an audiobook. Like I won't zone out. I'm also building. So I'll put on an audiobook or a podcast or a show, and like, oh, I love Lego kits. I love them.
So I love them also. And I love building them with my kids, but several times my husband has bought one of those big kits for them.
Yeah.
And he got the first to like go with them. And then I got like the second round because they do like to break it down and then rebuild it. Yeah. But it's just not the same when you have to go dig for all the parts.
Yes. Yes.
So like, oh, I'm going to get them a big kit so that we can do this together. Yeah. And I get the first round.
Yeah. I got a used set in December when I was really getting into it. I was like, okay, I've got to like figure out different ways to do this. And yeah, the used sets came pre-built, so I had to like break it down, and it wasn't as enjoyable as building
as the pre-packaged like number one, right. Number two.
Yeah, the like bags.
And you know they're all there. Yeah. How about, this is going to be the last one, how about your favorite city to visit or live in, and why?
Okay, so I also know this one. So Never Harbor is based on Rockport, Massachusetts. And the thing is when I was researching Never Harbor, I wanted it to be a coastal small town on the East Coast. But I have lived in Georgia my entire life. So I was like, I don't really know. So I did a lot of research based on just all the things I was looking for, right? And I narrowed it down to that. And when I was writing Off the Hook, my husband was like, hey, do you just want to like go to this town you randomly discovered? And I was like, sure. And we went and we had an absolute just blast, and it was so much fun. And it was one of those things where we left and we were like on Zillow, like, how much would it cost to live here? You know? So yeah, we daydream about Rockport, Massachusetts all the time. I'm sure there is someone in Rockport that's like, it's not that great, but we had a blast and we loved it. So we daydream about that all the time.
Yeah, of course, if you move there, you see, you know, all the ins and outs. There's no perfect city, but I love that. I love that. And I also love that your husband was just like, hey, do you want to go? That's so supportive. I love him.
He's very, very supportive. I'm very, very lucky. He like reads all of my books. Like he's one of the first people who like will give me notes. And yeah, no, I adore that man.
Oh, you said, is he a writer also?
Yeah. So he does more sci-fi, but yeah, he works on some stuff, and he's working on a book right now that he's like determined to finish, because I think he's only finished one book before this. He really likes short stories, so it's very exciting. I think he's great.
So much like cross pollination of, you know, ideas and running. I love it. Well, is there anything else you would like to leave our audience with?
I have a book coming out in September. It's called Love Felt Like This, and it is a children's show creator who is reviving like a vintage show, think like Sesame Street or The Muppets, and he's the grumpy rock star who is making the music for her show. So they go to her small mountain town in North Carolina and they work on the show together, and they're kind of hiding out in secret because he has like a secret daughter nobody knows about. So it was a really good time. It's very cozy. It's very sweet and wholesome. And I had an absolute blast writing it and doing all the research. And yeah, so that comes out September 3rd. Yeah, September 3rd.
I'm so excited. Actually, now that you said research and it's come up multiple times, how long does it take you to write a book, like with all the research and
Yeah, from start to finish, probably about 5 months. Because I continue researching while I'm writing the first draft, so there's a little bit of overlap there. But yeah, probably 5 months with like multiple drafts and things like that. Yeah.
it's like faster than I thought? I don't know. I feel like it takes, I don't know, in my head, it takes a long time to, do all the
Yeah.
things and editor back and forth and all the things.
Yeah, it started out much shorter, honestly, but I felt like I don't know, I feel like the more you know about a subject, like it's almost a blessing and a curse because you're like, oh, now I have a billion things I have to think about to structure the story versus just, well, I don't know, I'm just gonna sit down and write a book and clickety clack, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's taken me longer as the years have passed, but
Yeah.
I love the process.
Yeah. And are you an at-home writer, or do you go to like cafe, or do you kind of lock yourself in a, I know someone that said they basically check themselves into like a nice hotel for a few days and that's where they like finish their book.
So there's a co-working space I go to that's like 20 minutes away. I love it. It's 24 hours. It's set up basically just like a coffee shop. Like I don't have like an office or anything. They have coffee makers and then a bunch of seats. It reminds me honestly a lot of college, like study halls. But I will go there. I'm very much a morning person, especially if I'm on a deadline because I get really stressed. So I will get there at like 5 in the morning, write until like noon, and then come home, have lunch, and then write a little bit more. But normally once it gets into the afternoon, my brain shuts off. But yeah, I go to a co-working. I work best at that co-working space, but I do work from home as well.
Oh, I love that. See, all these things, I love these talks because we get to know like more about you, and how we get these lovely stories. If people want to connect with you further, where can they go?
Yeah. So if you want to find anything out about me, you can go to my website, julieoliviaauthor.com. But I am very active on Instagram, which is Julie Olivia Author. And then I also have a reader group on Facebook, which I'm also active in. You can find that through my website. And then if you're like, I don't like social media at all, I have a newsletter and I send it out every Thursday and I give the very similar updates, maybe some insight into behind the scenes stuff and all of that good stuff.
So people go connect with her there. Anything else? Final thoughts before we close out?
I don't think so. Thank you so much for having me. This was a fantastic conversation. Great questions, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was so exciting for me to be able to chat with you. I think everybody's going to be really excited and to get to know you better.